right, so hi everyone. My name is Reilly. I'm a second-year physical therapy grad student at Quinnipiac, and today I will be teaching chair yoga. So to get started, you can just start in a comfortable seated position. You have those legs supported under you. If you want to put a pillow or a step stool, you can be as far forward or back in the chair. This feels comfortable. If you want to put a pillow behind your back, feel free to do that as well. Before we get started, if there's anything you want to do to just make your environment a little more calming, you want to turn off the lights or light a candle, you want to make some tea, put on a sweatshirt, whatever you'd like to do. Maybe allowing yourself to do a few shoulder rolls here, forwards and backwards, just letting that motion be really free. Maybe lifting one shoulder up and down at a time. Doing a few neck circles. That feels comfortable and good for your body. Just taking a few moments here to kind of slow down your mind and your body. Let those eyes close as you come into a still position if that feels comfortable for you. Just really focusing on taking some nice, deep centering breaths here. Letting your bodies and your mind slow from your busy day. If there's anything on your mind, your to-do list, your schedule, whatever it is, just let it kind of leave your mind on your exhale. With that inhale, really setting an intention to be present in our class today. Feel like you can place a hand on your stomach, and on your inhales, you should feel that stomach rise out away from your body in kind of a Buddha breath that fills up with air. Then on your exhale, feeling that stomach collapse back down towards your spine as the air leaves you. On our inhales, we want to imagine that we're inhaling enough air to fill our entire body, filling our feet and our legs, our stomach, chest, arms, head, just filling every part of your body with oxygen. And then on your exhales, noticing that air traveling up the legs, up from the stomach, the chest, the arms, down from that crown of the head to disappear out of your nose. And I always like to start my yoga classes with just a little bit of mindfulness. So however you want to practice this, what I like to do is on my inhales, imagine that I'm inhaling positive energy, inhaling kindness, compassion, empathy, feeling of peace, being grounded to yourself and who you are. Maybe just thinking about here for a moment, some things that maybe you feel like you need today. Maybe you need to feel a little bit calmer today. So anything that comes to mind of those positive qualities, just letting it come into your heart and your mind on your inhales. Being comfortable staying with your breath for just a few moments here. If you like to stay with our opening relaxation a little bit longer, feel free. But whenever you're ready, you can get started today by wiggling your fingers and the toes. You can turn up those wrists, maybe lift up those knees and turn out the ankles. Maybe do a few shoulder shrugs here. A few more neck circles, just a little bit of light movement. Let's bring a little bit of movement back into that body after our relaxation. Whenever you feel ready, feeling no rush with that next inhale, we can reach those arms out and up towards the ceiling as tall as you can go. Then exhale, twisting those wrists and letting the arms fall. And once more, reaching those arms out and up on that inhale. And then twisting those arms, letting them fall out. Rolling those shoulders forwards, up to the ears and back, keeping those shoulders relaxed down away from your ears. And start today with some Sufi grind motion. So that's just letting some motion into our hips and our backs. And start with, on your inhale, starting to bring your chest over your knees. And then exhaling, curving your back out of the back and dropping that chin to the chest. You can place your hands on your thighs or on some arm stands. That feels comfortable. You can just let this be however big or small feels good for your back. Just starting to loosen up some of those muscles, bring a little bit of movement into that low back here. If you haven't already, feel free to switch direction. Maybe noticing if a different direction is feeling differently on your body. And starting to bring those motions smaller and smaller until you come back up into a neutral seated position up at center. On an inhale, reaching those arms out and up, nice and tall towards that ceiling. And then on your exhale, you can let your right arm fall down to your thigh or maybe that arm rest. And let that left arm find behind you. And then turning to look over your left shoulder into a spinal twist. You can also drop that arm down low, go a little bit deeper in that twist if you'd like. Just make sure you're nice and supported in that chair. On an inhale, imagine that your spine is growing a little bit taller. On your exhale, imagine that you're twisting just slightly deeper into that stretch. With that next inhale, using those abdominals, twisting back to center and reaching tall. And then exhaling, left hand to the left or right thigh. And then let that right arm fall behind you, twisting to look over your right shoulder. So you're kind of opening your body out to your right side. Again, you can drop that arm if you would like. With your inhales, letting that spine elongate and grow a little taller. On the exhales, looking over that shoulder just a little bit more. Then next inhale, rotating back to center and reaching tall. Then on an exhale, hinging forward at those hips and starting to fall over the knees. You can let those hands rest on the thigh or the ground or your shins, whichever you would like. And let that head slowly drop down towards the ground if that's comfortable for your neck and your back. And now that head side to side, maybe do some circular motions. Feel some stretching on your low back here as those muscles start to elongate. Your next inhale, you can slowly start to roll up vertebrae by vertebrae until your shoulders and your head rise up at the very end of your movement. Again, inhaling, rolling those shoulders forwards, up and back, making sure we're really keeping those shoulders as relaxed as we can in our class. And with that next exhale, letting that chin drop down to the center of the chest. Staying here for a moment, just feeling a little bit of stretch here. That next inhale, you can start to bring the right ear over towards the right shoulder, making sure we're keeping that shoulder relaxed. If you like to deepen that stretch a little bit, you place the right hand on the left side of the head. Just add a light pressure here. Feel stretch down your left side. With your next exhale, starting to walk those hands back to the thighs and letting that chin roll around and drop back down, center of the chest. With your next inhale, it's time letting left ear roll around to the left shoulder. You can add some weight with that left hand here if you would like. Again, keeping those shoulders nice and relaxed. The next exhale, letting that hand come back down to the thigh, letting the chin come back down to center. And then from here, you can just pick a direction. You can start to do some full neck circles if you would like. And personally, I try to let this movement be as fluid and as free as feels comfortable. So switching direction freely within your movement. Maybe letting it be more forward and back or side to side. Or maybe some rotation if that feels better, more comfortable. Maybe holding that stretch in the places where you feel a little bit of tension and tightness. Then maybe switching direction, moving through that area once more. I just really encourage you to notice how your neck and your shoulders are feeling, what your body's telling you today. Keeping in mind, this is a really common area for us to store stress in our bodies. So just thinking on that, keeping your awareness within your breath and within your body here. If you'd like to take a little bit more time with that movement, feel free. Whenever you're ready to move on, we can meet back into a neutral seated position. From here, moving through our cat-cow, and let those hands rest on the arms or on your thighs here. And to move through our cat-cow, on our inhale, we're gonna arch our chest and our stomach forward. And let that head drop if that's comfortable, and if you feel like you can still deeply breathe. And then with that exhale, you're gonna round out that back and let that chin drop down to the center of the chest. Inhaling up into our cow pose and exhaling into cat. And just moving with your own breathing here at a pace that feels comfortable for you. I encourage you to imagine that movement is starting at the very center of your spine. And then noticing each part of your spine move until your head and your tailbone move at the very end of your breath. And with that next inhale, we can get back into a neutral spine in a comfortable seated position. Whenever you're ready, we can move through our butterfly flow. You can clasp those fingers together and place them behind your head or your neck, whichever feels better. With our inhales, we're gonna open those elbows out away from each other. You should feel stretched down your pec and your chest. Then on the exhale, letting those elbows fall down in together and starting to curve down at the back a little bit. So inhaling up out into an open butterfly pose. And exhaling down. And again, moving through your breath here. Not pushing into any pain, but just into a nice, comfortable stretch. This pose is kind of fun. You can play around with it a little bit. You can do some side bending if you'd like. Maybe a little bit of rotation. You can exhale, starting to fall over one knee. And then your other, if you'd like. There's a lot of ways you can play around with this. Just noticing which stretch and movement is feeling best for your back and your neck. Letting yourself adjust accordingly. With our next inhale, meeting up at center, opening just a little wider and then letting those arms fall. You roll back, doing a few shoulder shrugs and rolls here if that's comfortable. Maybe taking a few neck circles. Feel like that's what your body is calling for here. And then when you're ready, we can straighten out that right leg so that right heel is on the ground, keeping that leg straight. And start to hinge at the hips, falling over that right knee. You can keep your hands on the armchair or the thighs, just stretching into a comfortable pose here. And point those toes and then bring them up towards your head if you would like. See how that changes that stretch for you. Should be really comfortable. You can ease in and out as you need, if that feels comfortable for you. The next inhale, rolling back up. Nice at center and bringing that right leg back under, supporting your body. And then straightening out that left leg, left heel on the ground. And hinging at the hips, falling over that left leg for the hamstring back of the leg stretch. And again, you can point the toes and bring the toes up towards your head. Maybe noticing if one side of your body feels different. Just knowing that's really normal, thinking about how it's feeling for you. And inhaling, rolling back up, bringing that foot back under your body. Your next inhale, you can reach those arms out and up towards center. You can clasp those hands together if that's comfortable. Moving through a flow here, inhaling tall up to center. On an exhale, starting to side bend just a little bit to one side, making sure you're nice supported in that chair. Inhaling back up, nice and tall. And then exhaling to the other side. Doesn't matter which way you go at first, just make sure you don't hit anyone you're with. Just moving through this flow on your own. Inhaling tall to center, exhaling to one side. Your next inhale, meeting tall to center. Then exhaling, falling over the hips, letting those arms fall down to the thigh. Shin, feet, or ground. You can let that head hang loose down towards the ground if that's comfortable for your body. Maybe nodding that head yes and no. Letting that neck do a few circles here if it's comfortable. Or keeping your back in a neutral position with a straight spine, whichever is feeling best. For that next inhale, rolling up on that body, coming back up into a nice neutral position. And from here, you can spread out those legs out into a straddle pose. And pointing those right toes out towards the side. And scooch back in your chair, give you a little bit of support here. And then rising those arms out to the side, looking over that right middle finger into a seated warrior one. Just feeling a little bit of strength here, really engaging that core. Keep a nice neutral spine, engaging those glutes to keep yourself back into the chair. On an inhale, dropping that right arm to the right thigh, and then reaching up and over to stretch down the left side. You can also place that hand on a armrest if you have one and if that feels more comfortable. Then inhaling back up into our warrior one. Then exhaling, dropping that left arm to the left thigh and reaching that right arm up and straight. Should feel a nice comfortable stretch down your right side, maybe into that right hip a little bit. And inhaling back to center. And from here, you can start to twist that right arm down towards the ground, left arm straight up. You can put that right arm on the thigh or maybe reach down towards the ground to a pyramid opener here. And inhaling back up to center, letting those arms fall, bringing those legs in close again. From here, just taking a few moments on our own, maybe do some of that circular Sufi grind motion like we did at the beginning of the class. Maybe hanging over into that forward fold. If you like to do some shoulder shrugs or neck circles. Whenever you're ready, coming back up into that neutral seated position. From here, we'll inhale our right arm across our chest, hugging that close with the left arm here. If you'd like to deepen this stretch, you can look over your right shoulder. Or if you'd like to enter into eagle pose, you can twist those arms around each other. So bending that right arm up and having it come around to clasp that hand. And on an exhale, coming out of that pose, few shoulder rolls here. The next inhale, left arm across the body, hugging it close with that right. Looking over the left shoulder if you want to deepen that stretch. Or straightening the left forearm and grabbing that left hand with your right to enter into eagle. On an exhale, coming out of that pose, few shoulder shrugs, neck circles. Coming back up to neutral. Then from here, we'll step that left foot out wide. Let that right leg open out and up. Left foot facing the left side of our body, so facing the wall that's to your left. Letting those arms float out. And gaze can fall over your left middle finger here for warrior on your left. On an inhale, dropping that left forearm to the left thigh, reaching up and over your right ear with that right arm for a side stretch. Inhaling back up into warrior pose. Exhaling right arm down to the right thigh. Then reaching tall, slightly over to your right side into a reverse warrior stretch. Should feel that down your left side. into the left hip a little bit, making sure you're staying nice and supported in your chair. Inhaling back up into warrior. From here, starting to twist that left arm down towards the thigh or the ground, keeping that right arm straight, reaching as tall as you can comfortably to the ceiling into a pyramid pose. And then inhaling up to center, letting those arms fall and letting those legs close. From here, whenever you're ready, crossing that right ankle over your left knee into a pigeon pose. You can stay here, or if you'd like to lean that weight forward a little bit over your right leg, that's going to deepen the stretch down the back of your leg and into your hip. Or you can stay tall and push down with that hand. Just a little bit of pressure, not forcing into any stretch or pain. Then inhaling, slowly rising back up and uncrossing that leg. Letting that right leg fall straight out in front of you. Right on, heel on the ground, and then hinging over at those hips again, reaching down towards your right thigh or shin or maybe your foot. You should feel a hamstring stretch here. It's a little bit of a relief counter stretch after our pigeon pose. And then inhaling back up, slowly rising up and moving that right leg to come back under and support you. And from here, when you're ready, crossing left ankle over your right knee this time for pigeon pose on the other side of your body. Again, you can stay here or hinge at those hips to deepen that stretch, just making sure you're supported in your chair. Or you can use that hand and push that knee down just a little bit, nothing too crazy here. If you start to feel any tingling in your feet at all, just ease off that stretch to the point where you're not feeling any tingling in those toes. We come to the end of our movement, just a few last poses, and we'll move into our Shavasana. So I usually just like to end by using the last few minutes. Think about if there's any other stretches or poses that you would like to do. Just kind of doing a little body scan, thinking of this on yourself. And next inhale, rolling back up, uncrossing that left ankle from the right knee, letting that left foot fall out in front of you with a straight left leg. Then inhaling, hinging at the hips, falling over that left leg for the hamstring relief. You can stay here as long as you would like to. If there's any other poses or stretches, if you want to stretch out your shoulders a little bit or do another spinal twist, you can rise up from that stretch. Take a moment here, do any other stretches or poses that you feel you need to do to finish your practice. Really no rush to finish your movement, but whenever you are done with that movement, you can find yourself back down in a comfortable seated position. Doing anything that you need to make yourself comfortable here. Maybe that's turning off the lights, grabbing some socks or a sweatshirt. Similar to the opening relaxation of our class, I encourage you to just sit comfortably here and let those eyes close. Just taking a moment here to notice your breath. Notice the rate and the depth of your inhales and your exhales. Maybe noticing if your breathing feels a little bit different from the start of our class. Maybe considering how your breath has changed throughout your day. And gently reminding yourselves to engage in that deep belly relaxation breathing. Try inhaling through the nose and then exhaling through the mouth like you're blowing out a birthday candle. If that breathing feels good for you, if you start to feel dizzy at all, just return back into your normal breath. And coming back into that mindfulness as we close our class. Inhaling positive qualities. Inhaling community, compassion, excitement. Inhaling anything and everything that you'd like to welcome into your life at this moment. Embracing it with open arms. You can stay here a little bit longer. But whenever you're ready, we can inhale those arms out and up. Letting those palms meet and float down to our chest at heart center. I'd like us to just stop here for a moment to thank ourselves and each other for coming to yoga today, for meeting some new people, for trying something new, for doing something to better your emotional and your physical health. I really enjoyed having you all. I hope you've all enjoyed as well. I just want to finish by thinking one positive thing about ourselves. Maybe you worked really hard today. Maybe you're proud of yourself for doing something new. Maybe you know that you're kind and you're compassionate. You love that about yourself. So whatever it is, we can just close our class with one individual affirmation. The light inside of me honors and cherishes the light inside each of you. Namaste. Okay, let me just pause the recording. Okay, so thank you guys all for joining us in chair yoga. Now we're just going to talk a little bit about stress and heart health and how stress affects our body as we move into Heart Health Awareness Month in February. So just starting off with what is stress? That's a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse events or very demanding circumstances. So originally, stress was just meant to help keep us alive in life-death situations. But as we've evolved as a society, we have stress in those non-life situations, such as work, driving, or other things. So we experience stress a lot more than what our body is naturally supposed to. Some common symptoms of stress include muscle aches and pains, low energy, sleep difficulties, anxiety, depression, impatience, and headache. I think it's really important to remember that when we talk about stress, that people respond differently to the same stressors. One example I think is really good of this is in a hospital. So if I went to a hospital, that'd be a really stressful moment for me, but for a doctor, that's just a normal day. So two situations, very different, but on the other side of things, we can also think about how over time, working in a hospital or other high demanding stressful jobs can impact your stress levels. Additionally, I just want us to think about how stress can impact our risk behaviors such as smoking, drinking, and comfort foods, which if you indulge in those a little bit, totally fine, but we just want to think about if it starts to negatively affect our health. Just gonna take a little drink. So now that we understand kind of what stress is, we can move on to how it kind of affects our body. So stress releases a hormone called cortisol from your adrenal glands, and those are located on your kidneys, and cortisol helps the body deal with stress. However, long-term high cortisol levels are linked to high blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, and triglycerides. Those are all things that are a common risk factor for heart disease. They also are linked to other health conditions such as diabetes. So overall, we don't want to have those high cortisol levels because it can negatively impact your health. Additionally, high cortisol levels can also promote plaque buildup in your arteries, and that can be tied to things such as stroke, heart attack, or hypertension, which is high blood pressure. And so we kind of think about what our stress levels are, how it impacts our body, and what we want to do to decrease that cortisol level to improve our health. So I just have a few tips that I found from the CDC. So the first thing is that we want to pinpoint what our stressors are and think about what we can do to decrease and alleviate that stress so that we can lower those cortisol levels. We also want to think about when we feel the most calm. So if you feel really calm when you're with a pet or on a walk, maybe with yoga, meditation, just think about how you can implement that throughout your day. Can help you feel a little bit less stressed, make your day go a little easier. We also can decrease our activity and risk effects such as smoking, drinking, and maintain a healthy diet. So these are activities that we do when we're stressed, but are actually linked to increasing your stress. So it's kind of a negative twofold. Additionally, you want to get plenty of exercise. I looked it up before our meeting, and the CDC recommends 150 minutes of exercise per week for seniors, and also emphasizes muscle strengthening to prevent falls. So in addition to heart health, we want to think about how we can strengthen our whole bodies as a whole. And then just finally, we just want to kind of seek treatment if we feel like we're struggling with our stress at all. I can give you a ton of tips, but if you reach out to a mental health counselor, they're going to be able to give you a lot more pinpointed tips to help with your stress management, which will overall improve your heart health. So that's my little education on heart health. Stop our recording here.